Hey everybody, I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and you are on the lifeboat. How you doing? It's the 5 o'clock show here on the boat. We do them every night and every morning on the fives. We get together and talk about things related to sobriety. Funny story. You spend a lot of time on the internet when you do everything you do on YouTube and other platforms. I sadly spend more time on the net than I care to admit sometimes. But so you become vulnerable to every stupid thing that goes around the internet. So I get these things all the time. And a close friend reminded me that I need to maybe look at things and make sure that before I come out and fire them home. So today, according to people on the internet, today, and only today, because this only happens once every 1,000 years, people. But once every 1,000 years, if you take the if you take the year that you were born and add it to your age, it will equal 2023. Now, if you're doing that right now, I'll bet you it comes out to 2023. However, it's going to do that next year and the year after and the year after. And if you sit and think about it for a little while, it makes a hell of a lot of sense why, right? It has to. But of course, because you've been on the planet for the same amount of time as you've pushed past the year that you were born. However, I sat there gullibly drinking this thing up for, I don't know, a few hours before I decided that maybe it's time that I research this thing. So I'm coming on here to tell you how close I came to almost coming on here and saying something just really, really, well, you know. Hello, Davlin88. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. I'm Charlie Murphy. How are you, my friend? Charlie, do you know whose birthday it is today? It is Miss V's birthday. Phases of the Moon. Miss V has been with the boat for, I don't know, right around the time we put the keel on it, I think. I feel like V has been here. If it wasn't from the very, very beginning, it was from a split second after the very beginning. V's been here a really long time, and we love her. And happy birthday, V. Much love for Miss V. And I happen to know that she's incredibly young on account of the fact that if you add how long I've been on this planet to the year that she was born, you're going to come up with the same, yeah. But happy birthday, V. I'm really glad that you're here. Honestly, you have made the lifeboat a better place from the very first day that you came on board. There you go, Kat. See, she's good for one show a day. She's not the she's attacking the stunt squirrel again. Got a girl, get him. If you never saw that show, there's a show. See, she's got the stunt squirrel by the tail. Can you see that? Get it. She does not like having the stunt squirrel in her basket. She is not a fan of this animal. And I love it. I think it's so cool that she attacks it. Oh, yeah. Get it. I don't know if you can see that, but she's chewing on the attack squirrel. You got it? You got it? Look at this. Oh, come on. Yeah. No stunt squirrels. So if you saw the thumbnail today, we're going to be talking about this whole sobriety thing, this entire walk in sobriety. It's a phrase that people use an awful lot. And then there are the cliches, and we talk about them too, right? It's not a sprint. It is a marathon. It's a really long marathon, people. It's a marathon that doesn't end until you end on this planet. At least for me. You know, I am of the firm belief that it is not something that, hold on. Oh, no. I'm sorry. You gave away tickets to see your favorite artist. I had a friend that did that last weekend as well. That's a difficult thing to do. I'm really sorry to hear that. Honestly, I hope that I hope your friend gets better. That's tough. That's tough. Hello, Christy Caldwell. Good to see you. Annie, good to see you. Susie Q. Good to see you. All right, everyone. So we get people on the lifeboat to watch this channel that are in every single phase of recovery. There are people who are going to be listening to the sound of my voice today who have a buzz on. There are people that did a couple of bumps or smoked something, or we're drinking a few prior to coming on the lifeboat. We don't run people off for that because everybody here at some point, right? Many of us up until just recently, in the last 8 years for me, and there are people in every stage and every walk, part of the walk in addiction that you're going to come across. And the truth of the matter is, it makes it a bit of a challenge, right? Because you don't want to be talking really basic stuff with people that have been in sobriety a really long time, but you also don't want to talk over the heads of anybody who's looking to get sober currently, right? Which is really kind of the most important part of the whole decision, right? Is that pulling the trigger to where you say, I don't want to do this anymore. And if you're listening to the sound of my voice and you have a buzz, I got news for you right now. You don't want to do this anymore, right? You're not over here because you dig me, I promise you. So if you're over here and this is the second or third show that you've seen, while catching a buzz, you're telling yourself something. Maybe it's time to set it down, right? The beautiful thing is, I honestly don't care what your drug of choice is. I've had to kick some pretty nasty addictions, right? I've been pretty open about my addictions and my dependency on opiates, and I can't tell you the number of times that I kicked and got that completely out of my system before going back and doing it again. I mean, that I can't begin to tell you how many times. Every time I got arrested, which was a lot. I went through the entire withdrawal process, but you're only looking at 3 to 4 days. Granted, life sucks for 2 or 3 weeks after that, right? But the actual kicking the stuff out of your system, really, no matter what you're on, you're looking at 3 days, 3.5 days. And once that time is over, right? Because that's detoxing. And it's completely different than recovery. It starts the process, but it is the recovery starts when that is over. And like I talked about the other day, anytime you bring this up, you're going to keep talking about the same kind of cliches over and over and over again. And the first one is, you have to take care of yourself or nothing is going to work. And I struggle with this more than I struggle with anything else. I'll keep it real. This is the biggest stumbling block in my life, is taking care of the physical needs of that I need, getting enough, eating right, getting sleep, exercising. All of those things have suffered, and not because of the boat, just because of life, and you get old and things happen, and but that is one of the most essential parts of sobriety. Especially when you are first getting off stuff, when you got that first 3 days underneath your belt and you're going to start moving forward. If you're not taking care of yourself, then I promise you, not only will relapse be a part of your process, it'll be a part of your process quickly. If you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, right? You've heard the acronym HALT. If you're hungry, you're angry, you're lonely, or you're tired, then chances are you're threatening serenity, which threatens sobriety, right? Makes a lot of sense. So if you're not taking care of the physical needs of your body, if you're not eating and sleeping, right? Well, there's 2 of them. And I promise you, it will disrupt every other part. And it's a house of cards. If one of these things is not in place, I promise you, everything else comes tumbling down. And you will find yourself miserable and going through this cycle again and again and again. You say, I'm going to do this, but this time I'm really going to do it, right? And then we do the exact same thing that we did the previous time. I can't tell you the number of times I made no change whatsoever, right? I mean, literally no change whatsoever in the process. But I thought that it would be different the next time. The first time I took a radically different approach to trying to get sober. I ended up as the captain of the lifeboat. 6 years later, I found myself here. And it's one of those things that once you shove all of your chips into the center of the pot, right, then it's just going to become a matter of following in the footsteps of people who have already done it. The beautiful thing about sobriety is you're never going to have to reinvent the wheel. You're never going to have to split the atom. You're never going to have to do anything that is really difficult in concept. One of the beautiful things about this kind of a format. Hold on. Wow. Well, I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm so glad that the doctors were wrong. He says, I got 4.5 years sober, but I still remember my first day. The doctors told me I'd never live to see 30. Enjoy your channel, Tommy. Congratulations, my friend. 4.5 years is epic. That's really good stuff, you know? And it's honestly, people, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Here's a person that's made it out. 4.5 years of sobriety. That's doing it. That's winning, right? And one of the beautiful things about a format like we have on the Lifeboat is you get an opportunity to listen to a lot of people talk about sobriety. Because I promise you people, number one, I'm not a doctor, and I certainly don't corner the market on knowledge when it comes to sobriety. However, I'm of the firm belief that if you take a couple of hours a day to concentrate on talking about something that is really important to you, like staying sober, right? And the little hints that help people remain sober. If you pay attention, there's an amazing amount that you can learn from the people here. I've learned tons since starting the Lifeboat. It's been really a cool concept, and it's been a cool experiment. It really has, to see what can be done with social media when the people involved are all kind of pulling in the same direction, or at least most of them are pulling in the same direction. No, honestly, we've been really, really blessed with an amazing group of people. Once you start taking care of yourself and those 3 days are over, you begin to eat. You start to get a little bit of sleep under your belt, depending on what your drug of choice is. Sometimes it's everything you can do to get up, right? If you're somebody that was doing a drug that takes you up, very often it's sleeping for 6 or 7 days. Whatever it takes to get your body back to where you're on some kind of a schedule where you're actually eating, doing a little exercise, and going to sleep. And I realize if you're coming off heroin or you're coming off of a really heavy opiate or whatever, when you're dope sick, the last thing in the world you want to do is exercise. I mean, the last thing you want to do after 3 days of being sick is exercise. But get up and walk around. Honestly, get up and walk around. I don't care if you do 2 squats, you do 1 push-up, but you do something to start the ball rolling, to tell your body this is a whole new regime. I hope Johnny was listening, because you get a really big kick out of that. But this is an entirely new regime, and things are changing, and it's not going to be the way it was. It's not going to be the way it was. It's the same reason that routine has to become a part of everything that you do. As you come off of that 3 days, if you do not set up what the routine is going to be for the rest of the time that you're sober, once again, you're going to relapse, and you're probably going to relapse quick. If there's not something scheduled in your life during the day that you're going to be doing from the time that you get up, we're seriously, until the time you go to bed. In the beginning, if I didn't have that dialed down to almost the minute, then I was in danger. Because when I had nothing to do, my brain said, I know what to do. Right? This whole thing you're doing is stupid, right? This black guy's an idiot. You're stupid. What the hell are you doing? Go get a bag. And that was a constant. But the amazing thing is, it wasn't 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It was when I didn't have something to do. And when you start to see that that's actually how it works, you find crap to fill that schedule. I promise you do. I volunteered for stuff. I'd go down to the library and say, do you guys have any ACE courses you need a teacher for? And I mean, it's not literally volunteering. I think they pay you $12 a month, but it's a hell of a lot of work for $12. But it takes up a ton of time. And that became my go-to. Congratulations, Yankee Kyle, 35 plus years of sobriety. People, it's a hell of a long time. Keep it going, my friend. Keep it going. Right? I'm hoping to get 35 years before I am off of planet Earth. Zen Wen, thank you for your kindness. Zen is another Lifeboat member that's been here a really long time. I love that it blends. I really do. I love that you get to a point and you start wondering. It's great to go back through the channel. I did this 2 days ago. I was going through and looking at people's names, and if you hover over them, you can see when they join. right? Which is, you hover the mouse over it. You can, it'll pop up when the person came on. I've talked about this before on the lifeboat because sometimes it's really humorous because someone will come on and they'll say, man, I love the lifeboat. I've watched every single one of the episodes since I got here. And you hover over and you're like, man, you've been here 4 days or 5 days. I mean, there's 1,000 hours or 1,100 hours or some ridiculous number of there's a lot of time that it would just take, ridiculous amounts of time. But it's been really cool to look back at how long people have been here and you go, damn, but it tends to blend in. It's one of the really unique things I think about the community that you guys have all built here at the lifeboat is just how quickly somebody becomes a part of this. And it's a huge part of what you're doing. It's a huge part for me. It's 2 hours every day that I do not need to worry about, right? For 2 hours, I promise you, I know exactly what I'm doing. And it's going to be that way for a long time. This is a huge part of my sobriety. It's important for me as a sober person to make sure that every day I start everything that I do with it's almost like Stuart Smalley. I'm almost sitting in front of a mirror and doing the daily affirmations kind of thing. But for me, getting on here and doing 1 hour in the morning talking about the person that I used to be, the person that I want to be, and the biggest threat, right, to who I am, taking 1 hour every day. And I mean, before I do a damn thing, people every day, someone will send me an email and say, you don't have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Let me do this one so that everybody hears it. At 5 o'clock in the morning where I live, it's 8 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast, right? And what you do is you look at the demographics and then you talk to all of the people on the boat. I don't have a problem getting up at 5. And the reason that I don't is because when the lifeboat is over, I have spent 1 hour of my life talking about sobriety, right? And 97 out of 100 times, I'm going to leave that show fired up about life. I'm going to leave it with a completely different mindset than had I not done it. And on mornings that I don't do the lifeboat, I miss it. I really do. I absolutely miss it. I miss coming and talking to other people who are in sobriety, and I miss the banter. I miss all of the stuff that makes the lifeboat what it is. But that scheduling is going to be make it or break it for you. And if you start, so for me, when I was in prison, I was working with Q, and he said, we're going to design a new you. Well, I took from 9 o'clock at night until 5 o'clock in the morning. That's a wrap. I'm locked in a cell. But from 5 o'clock, when they popped the doors in the morning until 9 o'clock at night, I had the schedule at that time. So I taught yoga. I did the equivalent of what I do here. I started out with a little group of guys that got together and talked about sobriety until it was over 100 people. It grew really big, and we had a great crew of people that really wanted to get sober. And that's a good sized number for a yard of about 1,300. And the truth is that usually the other 1,100 are getting high. The other 1,100 or 1,200 are getting high. It's just there was a lot of dope in prison. But so when I'm laying out the new person, meditation is a big thing for me, right? If I don't take some time during the day and get away from everything and just sort of chill out, then I'm probably not going to be great for myself or for the people that are around me, the people I care about. And these are all, wow, $1,450 for 3 months of heart medication. Sandy, I'm sorry to hear that. That's absolutely awful. It really is. It's absolutely awful. But as I'm designing this out, I know I'm going to be exercising, right? So I got an hour of every day that I can take 6 days a week, 7 days a week, if you want, and do that exercise. The second thing that I did when I was in was I walked for 2 hours every single day. Rain or shine, the yard that I was on had an indoor walking track. It was actually fantastic. So if it rained, I would go inside and I would just walk basically in circles. But it was a huge part of what I did every single day. And when you start to change how you look, there's a real benefit to that. There really is. And I changed my body pretty dramatically while I was incarcerated. As I got older, when I was a kid, none of that seemed to matter. When you're a kid, you just sort of stay in shape. But then as you get older, you sort of start to lose that. Exercise is a huge, huge part of when I'm doing well. Exercise is a huge part of my life. And because of medical problems and everything else, I had stopped doing it. And it's really, it's like everything else that we do in this walk in sobriety. When things don't go right, we end up withdrawing, pulling back, and screwing up more, right? We withdraw from the connections that make us healthy at the first sign of a bump in the road. So yeah, I had the heart thing, and the heart thing was bad. But you know what? Much like what happened to Johnny, what happened to me was caused by dehydration. It was. However, they found something with me that is an issue, that they would not have found without that happening. Johnny doesn't know that. Johnny didn't have an issue at all. He had his little heart thing, and he was out the next day and they had no desire to see him again. They like seeing me. But because of that, I stop exercise, right? And one of the exercises that I do is yoga. And yoga crosses a bunch of lines for me because it isn't just an exercise. It is, but it doesn't just challenge the body. It's almost like, for me, hello, vape. It's like taking meditation and exercise and melding them together. I always feel very different after that kind of an exercise than if I'm just banging out push-ups and doing squats and things like that. Although I have roped Johnny Scoville into working out with me on a daily basis, and it's I'll tell you what, it's been great having somebody to work out with. If you can get somebody that is pulling in the same direction, it just goes again to show how much connection is just a huge thing. Hope Between the Dreams says, I love yoga so much. You know what? It's yoga is a beautiful thing. It really is. And I ended up getting into yoga. I was telling somebody about this last week. I was doing a yoga pose on the ground and just sort of waiting around to do something, and it was it's one that looks cool. I do it because it looks cool. It's a cool yoga pose where you just sort of balance on your hands. But I said I had a lot of time in a cell, right? So on the first of the two sentences I did for the Bureau of Prisons, I was locked down for almost that entire sentence, right? I screwed up badly and got sent to a special management unit, but I was in a cell for 23 hours a day, 7 days a week. You could get out for an hour a day, Monday through Friday, to go outside and do a little dog run, like a kennel. Honestly, it sadly is the exact same size as the cell. Then they let 6 people in it. But it was, you spend a lot of time locked down. So you order books off the internet. The only thing you can do is read. And one of the books that I ordered was on yoga. And I just started to get really, really into it. And when I got to the next yard, they had a sign up and they were paying somebody $45 a month, which in federal prison is like, you won the lottery. That's a huge starting wage. Believe it or not, that's a huge starting wage in the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Normal starting wage is $19.25 a month, which is just, it's awful. But so I taught yoga classes, and I used to do 3 of them a day. Once again, people, in my scheduling, that is 3 times, 3 hours a day that I did not need to worry about. And I wasn't just out of circulation. I wasn't just not in the day room buying dope or walking around on the yard with everybody that's getting drunk and getting high or whatever. I'm actually doing something for those 3 hours that's bettering me as a person. I'm doing something that's calming me down, right? That's chilling me out, and it's stretching me, right? It's doing all kinds of things that are going to benefit my body, my mind, my soul. The cat just woke up, ground her face into the squirrel, gave it a little bite. I'm hoping she's still there at the end because it's the cutest pose you've ever seen. They almost look like they're friends currently. I know she's not much of a fan of them. So scheduling your life. I beat the hell out of making your bed. And I know people get tired of hearing it. But there's a huge, huge reason for all of these little stupid things. I didn't come up with them. I promise you. I adopted them. And I adopted them because in the previous times that I tried to get sober, I didn't do these things. And it didn't work. Now, can I say, you know what did it this time? I'll tell you what did it, right? It's the bed making. I don't have any idea, but I'm not going to fart around with the recipe, right? I'm not going to stop doing any of the things that I did when I got sober, right? The things that helped me get sober are things that I am going to continue to do. Oh, lupus is tough. I'm sorry to hear that, Hope. Yeah, lupus is really, really tough. I don't remember who I was talking to somebody about lupus the other day. It's really, really a tough thing. $19.95 is ridiculous. That is just one of the 4 easy payments on a Nordic track. Jeremy Shelton, I'm so glad you're here. Even if you want to call yourself by somebody else's name, it doesn't bother me, man. Yes, Ryan's Ghost, please come aboard. It is structure, Mary Gonzalez. It is absolutely structure. And it's also a declaration. So you get up in the morning and you make your bed. And not only are you starting the day by saying, for me, right? I'm starting the day by saying, I didn't do this for 46 years of my life. This I never did, right? What I did do, though, during those 46 years was get high every single day, right? From the time I was 13 on. So I was going to, this is going to sound silly as hell, but I promise you, it was this simple for the first 6 months. Did I used to do it? Okay, then I'm not doing it anymore. And I'm going to do the things that I didn't do. So it was just a complete crossover. It was almost like that George Costanza episode where, you know, he does the opposite of everything that he would normally do and life works out for him. That's really how I went about it. So did I ever make my bed? No. When I didn't make my bed. I also didn't see a point in hanging things up in a prison. You got to build a hanger. There was no point for it at all. So I had things stacked up around. And when Q came in the first time, he's like, this place is a dump. It didn't look like a dump to me. But boy, oh boy, a week after my stuff was clean, I would never have been able to live in it the way that it was. I wouldn't. And it wasn't that I became a neat freak, because I didn't, but I became an organizational freak. In prison, the cell is 8 feet wide, right? That's this, people. That's my arms. It's 8 feet wide. So, and then we're 13 to 14 feet long. It's a walk-in closet with a bunk bed, a toilet, and a sink. And 2 dudes and all of their possessions. So if you don't have everything exactly in a place where it's supposed to be, life's not going to work out for you. And if life doesn't work out for you, then the cat you live with might get aggro. And that's usually the last thing you want. See, at 9:30, they're going to bolt the door shut. And the 2 of you are going to be in there until the sun comes up. And that can be a really awful situation. So organization and routine became huge. I made that bed. You know, that was a huge thing for me. I made the bed. It was done. I also, and it just became part of the routine. The door would pop, depending on which guard was on, between 5 and 5:07. Never later than that. Like BOP, whatever. But at 5:07, those doors were open, right? I was standing at that door fully clothed and ready to go. I was walking out the cell, and I was going to go start my day. And I never had any other cellies that did that. So it was never an issue. But I wanted to be out of there. I wanted to give him a cell, let him do whatever he does, and get on the road. In the real world, it's just that everything I do the exact same way. And it is absolutely routine and something that I'm going to stick with. And when I'm sticking to a routine and I'm doing things the same way, that rhythm is something that keeps me feeling comfortable in my own skin. I start feeling uncomfortable in my own skin when I start feeling like I'm losing control, right? For me, drugs were a way to give me the illusion that I was in control at all times, because it didn't matter how sketchy the situation got, right? Or how weird the situation got. I was going to be all right, right? I was drugged. So I was just going to kind of coast through everything. And that was the go-to for such a long period of time, that when that was removed, when that was taken out of my life, then I had to develop what I call, right, the bag of tricks. But it's a whole new plan and a whole new design to be comfortable in my own skin. And that means not a lot of downtime. And that means certain rules that I follow every single day, right? I'm going to make my bed. I'm going to brush my teeth at the same time every single day. I'm going to make my coffee at the same time every single day. I'm going to work out at the same time every day. And then I'm going to do the lifeboat. And by the time the lifeboat is over, I've done all that. I've journaled. I had, my coffee's in me. My day starts at 6 a.m. I mean, it really started at 4, but I became in prison. This is something that you're never going to get over. Russ will tell you. we're screwed. We're never going to be able to sleep in, right? You just, that's not something you're allowed to do inside. And for years and years and years, that door pops at 5. And as the fellas would say, you needed to be suited and booted at 5, which honestly meant fully dressed with boots on, laced up. Like during the night, there was going to be I don't know, everyone is going to get mad at each other at night, and it was going to be on as soon as the doors pop. But that is what they want you to do, especially at the higher custody levels. That's the term, suited and booted. But you get up for so long at 5 o'clock that I'm a 5 o'clock in the morning kind of a guy. I won't lie to you. If I'm on vacation or if I'm on the road or if everything in life is perfect, right? If there's nothing bothering me and I can turn the phone off, right? I could probably stay in bed till 9 or 10 and be the happiest camper in America. But it's been a really, really long time since I pulled that off. And I don't know. I know that the older you get, the less sleep you need anyway, but it becomes an issue in a real way. So as I was saying, you're going to start with the physical. You got to take care of the fact that you need sleep, you need food, and you need exercise, right? Then you're going to move on and start having to look at the much larger picture, because this is sort of a holistic thing, right? As we talk about every single day, without exaggeration, on the lifeboat, the drugs are a symptom of something else. When you're in the life, you talk yourself into the fact that I loved that first buzz and I continued to do it. And the next thing I knew, I was addicted. And I believed that for the longest time in my life. I wholeheartedly believed that there was nothing in my life that I was using dope to get over. It was just a matter of the fact that I like to get high. And as I peeled back the onion, and I continued to work on this. And by the way, not alone. Even when I was working with Q and doing it every single day, and I had counselors in prison, but it's not a breakthrough that I ever had when I was on the inside. The breakthrough of what drove me and what causes me to want to drug me. Once I started to peel that back and start to work on that, you realize that if you're not treating that and you're only treating the symptom of the drinking or the drugging or anything else, then more than likely you're going to keep coming back to it, right? Or worse. And you say, well, how could it be worse? I don't know. You could join a cult. I'm not being funny, right? I'm not being funny at all. People are seeking something when they go to things like cults, right? There is a need in a person's life that they're trying to fix, and whether they're using a needle that they stick in an arm or one that's on that e-machine, right, or any of the other cults that people can join, or any other. There are habits. We talk about habits that aren't bad habits. My brother eats ridiculous amounts of capsaicin, and because of that spends a lot of time getting endorphins dumped into his body from, as you get that much pain, your body tends to release a lot of endorphins, and he has actually learned to use that as a painkiller. He's really, really bad back. He's had a ton of surgeries, and he's had his spine fused, and he's had vertebrae removed, but he's able to use capsaicin. That's a very, very positive addiction. But there are other things that people do. Have you ever met people that just kind of went off the rails? I'll tell you what, we talked earlier. I love yoga. I do. I love yoga. I think yoga is one of the most amazing things in the world. But I knew people for whom nothing else on planet Earth mattered. For real. And I know it was one of those situations where this was an individual that got sober, right? But there's something inside that still makes this individual really uncomfortable in their own skin. And everything this individual does, they do with a vigor and a kind of attack that's unhealthy. Seriously. And I think almost everybody knows people like this, where you just look at them and go, even Johnny, to be really honest with you, Johnny was always ridiculous in anything that he did. You talk about a guy that shoves all of his chips into the center of the pot in everything that he did. Johnny, I got really, really good at skiing at a time when my brother went off to college. I sort of, the U.S. team began to train at the ski area that I was at, right? it sort of escalated my skiing. And Johnny and I stopped skiing together. Well, I was in school, I was in college, and I had tweaked my knee, and standing sideways on a board was a whole hell of a lot easier on my leg than standing forward. So I took up snowboarding, and I got a job at the first mountain in America to allow snowboarding. And I taught lessons. And Johnny one day said to me, he goes, "Man, give me a lesson." And I said, I can give you a lesson in the living room. Like, this is a sport that I promise you I can teach you inside. And I did. But that man went off on that sport like you've never seen a human being. I mean, he got ridiculous at it in a half an hour, but I remember going to his house and pulling up one day, and there had to be 3 or 4 Burton boards outside. There was 2 or 3 inside. He was working on something. He had just gotten a pair of boots in the mail. And I was like, good Lord, dude. You know what I mean? But that's, all of us have an element of that in us, right? And it's a hell of a lot healthier. You know what I mean? If that's the addiction that you need, that's fantastic. But the better method, make no mistake, is to try to get to a place where you can just be comfortable being you, right? It's great to schedule things. It really is. It's important as hell. And it's great to have balance. I think we get off the rails and we lose that balance, and we go too hard on anything. You know what I mean? And I am also that dude. Like, if there's a book that I liked, especially when I was locked up, if I was reading a book and I thought the book was good, I promise you I was finishing it. You know what I mean? Like, there was not really a life in there that I needed to worry about too bad, so I would sometimes read for, 18 hours or whatever to finish out a book. But I have that personality where the things that I do, I tend to overdo. Wow, that's so cool, though. Do you hear this, people? Shimmy Dubawadi says, I told my new boss about my upcoming 1 year of alcohol abstinence. He said alcohol is a thief. Big facts, man. I'll tell you something. I love this. Honestly, comment of the day. Because one of the things that I really was going to bring up probably further down the road, but it's a great segue into it, is one of the things that I think is essential on this walk that we're going on is that we realize, hello, Liz, that we realize the stigma that's attached to our disease, because it's massive, right? It's absolutely massive. And it makes people say things that the outside world is going to say things that hurt. And they say it without thinking. How many times you see somebody doing something stupid and somebody says, crackhead, right? I know crackheads. I have a ton of friends that beat that drug. And they don't deserve to be, to be picked on for that disease any worse than somebody that chose a different drug or for whatever reason. But terms, we've done shows on it all the time. The terms that people use to talk about addicts, lush, drunks, junkies, tweakers, crackheads, these things that get tossed around in society cause stigmas to be huge. And those stigmas run so deep that people don't talk to their loved ones about the disease that they have. And they sure as hell are not going to go talk to professionals, which is what they need probably most in life. When I say that this is a holistic approach, you need to be looking at the emotional and the psychological and the physical and all of it. The reason that we start with the physical is because that's one of those things that if one of those spokes is missing, you're not going to get to the next level, so to speak. You're not going to be really working through the journey of sobriety if you can't get by that initial physical, getting by that first 3 to 4 days to get the chemical out of your body, and then starting the process so that you can get to eating and sleeping and exercising. Those 3 things are key. And when that begins to happen, by the way, you do realize that if you're not eating right, you can't exercise, right? You absolutely need everything that is in food to be able to go do any exercise of any kind. And that exercise actually makes you tired. And in the process of doing that, it kicks out endorphins, right? Your best shot. This isn't busy work. I assure you, by any stretch of the imagination, nothing that we're talking about is busy work. Cats, much smarter, right, than me and probably most everybody here, have worked this stuff out. You're not what you're getting high on. The reason that we're all addicted, the reason that we're all here is because we have figured out a way to manipulate our brain chemistry to give us way more of that feel-good stuff than it's supposed to, right? Some of us sniff for it. Some of us drink for it. Doesn't much matter, right? How you get it to happen It's still just your brain giving you a healthy dose of chemicals that make you feel good. You can get your brain to give you a healthy dose of chemicals and make you feel good without getting high. The routine and everything that we do is all designed for that reason. First goal of the day, right? Make a freaking bed. Not too difficult, right? But I promise you, it is a goal set and it is a goal accomplished. And when it is the first thing you do in the morning, you get up, you nail it out. And when that last thing is done, whether you realize it or not, your brain goes, well played. Well played. You set a goal, you accomplished the goal. Well played. Is it going to dump out like you just snorted your first line of blow? It's not. I promise you that's not what you're going to get. But you're going to get the reward center of your brain to reward you for doing something that was beneficial. And I promise you, if you're here and listening to the sound of my voice, your reward center does not work the way it's supposed to. Neither does mine. We get rewarded for things that threaten the organism, right? If those normal people exist, right, that does not happen to them. The reward center rewards them for things that make the organism safer, happier, keeps it procreating, right? That's what those feel-good chemicals were supposed to do. They were supposed to reward us when we were doing things that were going to keep us safe, right? Keep us procreating. All of those things that were important for the survival. But if you get those feel-good chemicals as opposed to, say, at the birth of a child, if you get the same kind of feel-good chemicals released to you when you pick up a bag of dope in the parking lot of a 7-Eleven at 12:40 a.m., that is a malfunctioning reward center. It is rewarding you for buying a chemical that is highly probable these days, deadly, right? It's rewarding you for buying a chemical that has a 1 in 6 chance of killing you. That's not normal, right? That's abnormal. That's abnormal like a big dog. But that's where we're at. So these little things that sound like stupid busy work that Captain Tommy's talking about, none of this is busy work. It's you setting a goal, right? It's you setting a goal. It's the first freaking thing you can do in the morning. So you make the bed, right? You go brush your teeth. You sit down and you journal. And when you're done journaling, you're starting your day with the reward center of your brain doing what it's supposed to do, giving you a little blast, right? You do the exercise next. And by the time the sun has come up, my brain has been doing a really good job of acting normal until the sun comes over the mountain. And then I got to be Tommy. and then it gets tougher. But I can control this part of the day. And I can start it with a little bit of success. And maybe getting the brain chemistry working a little bit better. And you know something, people, I'm limited with what I can do with the brain chemistry. I'm limited. So are you. It's why we call professionals, by the way. That's why I said this is a holistic approach. One of the things that you absolutely need to do is talk to a professional. And, you know, the stigma thing, again, is absolutely huge. Boy, we don't want to tell somebody mental illness. Think of it. Well, I'm over it. I've been over it now for a really long time. And it was liberating to beat hell. You know what? You can throw a deuce up in the comments if you agree with me. When you can get to a point where all of a sudden you can honestly say things like, you know what? I don't care. This is the disease I got. I'm not beating the hell out of myself anymore. I think 13 years in prison will take care of that. Right? I lost 2 families, destroyed 2 families, one with kids. I've paid my dues. Right? This friggin' disease got its pound of flesh. In fact, it got hundreds of pounds of flesh out of me. I'm done. I'm not giving it anymore. I'm done. So I'm going to engineer my life in such a way to ensure that we're moving forward, right? Thank you for the deuces, by the way. You know what? Every time it's terrible, people, but when I get a text, I have to do this. And do you know why? Because it just might be either Spanx Calhoun or Cedar. And either way, I got to take those calls, in spite of the fact that both of them know that I'm live at this time of day. What position does the ghost play in soccer? Goalkeeper. Should have seen that coming. So please never confuse this with professional help, right? This is peer support. These are people who talk to one another and say, hey, I'm here for you. Thank you, Marissa. That's a very kind thing to say. I really appreciate that. Balake, nice. Absolutely lovely. Okay, so the asking for help. We touched on this yesterday. One of the beautiful things I think about peer support is that sometimes it's a lot easier when we're talking to people that we really truthfully can identify with, right? We talk about this as often on the Lifeboat as we talk about anything. The reason that group therapy is the gold standard is because when you understand that the people get what you're saying and that you don't have to explain it to them, it's ultra maggot. Good to see you. It's one of those things that's excruciatingly painful. If you're trying to explain your addiction to someone that doesn't understand, and by the way, there are people out there. Do not get snobby on this because it is an error of huge proportion. There are people out there that are not drug addicts that can be ridiculously helpful in the walk with sobriety. I hear people all the time, and we talk about it on here. I struggle with it. I don't like working one-on-one. If what I'm talking about is drugs, like there are counselors that I talk to that have nothing to do with drugs. They're not drug counselors, right? I'm working very specifically on parts of my life that are not directly, sobriety related. It's more in help with peeling the onion. Thank you, Lori T. I appreciate you. I really do. Thank you so much. It's essential, right? When that the whole concept behind asking for help is, I know it's uncomfortable, and I know the stigma makes it worse. I was last week talking with somebody from the boat, and the most intelligent words in the English language have often been said to be "I don't know," right? We don't like saying it, right? Most people are not huge fans of admitting that they don't know anything, and it's in the same vein as saying to somebody, "I need help." It makes us feel instantly, right, that we're, a little bit smaller, a little bit less important, and that the person we're asking that help from is superior to us. They must be, right? If they weren't superior to us, why would we need to ask them for help? And the truth of the matter, people, is there's nothing further from the truth. We have a disease. If you broke your friggin' leg and you walked into a doctor's office and said, "This is messed up," right? "I need help," you would never say to your friend, "Oh yeah, you don't know the embarrassment. I had to go in there and tell them I was screwed up and that I wasn't." No, you wouldn't think twice about it, right? Why is it such a difference for us with mental health? People prefer to give than receive, I think. Yeah, I would like to believe that that's the truth, Ryan's Ghost. Hold on. Wait a second. Lene? I should have Christy sing happy birthday. I was actually going to bust out with happy birthday because I figured between Lene and Miss V, I should probably just roll them into one. Excellent chance that at least one more of you will have a birthday this week. It's just a mathematical thing, right? I should probably just sing happy birthday. Christy would do it a lot better than I would. Christy can sing. But how about if I just wish you both a happy birthday? Happy birthday, Lene. And happy birthday, V. The process of stigma reduction obviously is a benefit, but it's something that if we don't work on in the larger scheme of things, the asking for help gets passed down from one generation to the other, right? And it's a terrifying thing that this is something that we continue to do. And it's something that we continue to foster. Tell you what, how about if we just do the not here thing? Like we may not be able to fix the world. But right here, there can't be any stigma for people asking for help. There can't be any stigma at all for people coming in here and saying, you know what, I'm having a really bad week. And we have it all the time. There are people that come in and just say, you know what, can you think of me this week? This is going to be really tough. If this doesn't make sense to you, then you haven't been doing the sobriety thing very long. But sometimes it's like just the phrase, this is going to be a really bad week, right? I could really use some help or some thoughts from anybody. Getting it out, letting that out of your mouth sometimes is enough to affect a massive change. Truthfully, this is, again, people, it's a cliche. It's the greatest cliche in the world, right? But the opposite of addiction is connection. It's not a joke. It is an absolute fact. This walk with sobriety, no matter where you're at in this walk, when you are in danger the most is when you withdraw. When you start to pull back from the people that you care about, and when you start to lose interest in the things that are important to you. This is a great chair to sit in when someone's killing it, right? Alan Ballantyne is a close friend. Alan's also killing it. The guy lost an entire human being in body weight and quit 2 vicious drug habits and is just doing great, working hard. He's got a good job. He's happy. And he's just one of those individuals that when he talks about journaling or he talks about, any of the things that he's picked up working with, not me, working with the boat, working with everybody here. It is one of those moments where you just think, oh, you know what? So fantastic. It is great when someone seems to really, really be killing it, right? It's fantastic. It's also painful as hell when it goes in the opposite direction. And it's something that I've watched happen so many times in the last 2 years, I can't begin to tell you. And now it's gotten to the point where I can watch it. I know when it's coming. And it usually starts with, you call someone and you go, hey, how you doing? Good, good. So how has this been? And they go, oh, you know what? I haven't been doing that. It's a hobby. It's something that they've been putting a lot of time and a lot of effort into that meant a lot to them. And you would call them on the phone and they would say, man, you got to hear about this. And you say, hey, what's going on? So you've been doing, no, I've done that about a month or two, man. I've been busy as hell. You haven't been busy as hell. What's happened is that you've begun to withdraw from all of the connection points, right, that you got in your life, everywhere that you're connected to. And then you watch them and they drop off a little bit more and you see them 2 days a week or 3 days a week. And you say, hey, what's going on, man? Busy? Yeah, there's a lot going on. And I'm going to get by more, though. I promise you I'm going to get by more. And it is a progression. And you can watch. When you begin to fall off, it's more than just having the routine. In the beginning, the routine it's not a fake it till you make it, because I'm just not fond of that term, but I really do like the term live as if. Live as if you've been sober 25 years. You only got to do it today. But live as if you've been doing this a minute. You got the hang of it. Oh, right? Live as if for a while. But hopefully, that's a process that's what having that framework and having that structure in place. It's a scaffold to kind of help things stay put until it actually begins to work, until you're no longer living as if, until this is such a part of your routine and it's such a part of what you do that when you get that first hint of something's wrong, I promise you, people, these days, and I'm not tooting my own horn, it's just that my routine is etched in stone. I'm quick as hell to walk out of a room. I promise you, I'm quicker than the next guy to say, I got to get out of here. It's my go-to. And it was uncomfortable in the beginning because I felt like every time I said it to somebody, I was saying, I don't have any control. I can't control myself. I'm sorry. I'm weak. I can't be here. It's doing this one. And I just got to get, what I'm saying to them is I got this crap under control, right? I know what's going to make me feel like using dope. Sadly, everything in this room right now is that I'm leaving. I mean, that's what's happening in my head. It's certainly not, they don't need to hear that, but I can look at people and say, you know what? This room currently isn't really great for my serenity. I don't know what it is, and it's nothing personal, but I will be in touch. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye. No problem. It is my go-to tool in the toolbox. It is, I promise you, the first one I'm going to go to. It works for me. I don't feel a stigma of any kind about my addiction. That is a gift that the lifeboat has given me. I really don't. I feel none. There are things I stumble with. I was talking to a counselor about this today. There are phrases that trigger me, things that people can call me that upset me, right? There are. And it's something that I need to work on, right? And as my counselor said, you may never get over it, but you can reframe it. Right? It doesn't have to be something that makes me want to grit my teeth and get out of the room every time it happens. But you know what? If I got to grit my teeth and get out of the room, it beats the crap out of the alternative. Yes? Can we be in agreement? Can we? Yes, you're absolutely right. 7th. I spoke today to him. He is in the hospital. He is in the hospital. Yes, I saw the question. He is in the hospital right now. He's waiting on a heart, but he's in fantastic spirits. I reached out to him today and talked to him while he was in the emergency room. So he is in good shape. Really, any thoughts and prayers that could be with him, that would be fantastic. He is a really, really good dude. The guy's an ace. So that would be fantastic, and it would be greatly appreciated. If you didn't catch the show we did earlier today here on the boat, I had on a guest with me. My guest host was Vanessa LaRose. We did a show on furry. That would be the cute 4-legged variety, or sometimes 3-legged variety of our counselors and our greatest advocates in sobriety sometimes are pets, right? Unconditional love is a great thing when trying to walk this long road of sobriety. Zen, thank you so much. Prayers for Steve Molesky and anyone else who wants and needs them. Thank you, ZW. And Steve does need them, people. Again, he was in great spirits when I talked to him today. He really was. He was in really... All right, Ryan, we'll see you next time. He was in really, really great spirits. But he needs thoughts and prayers, to be sure. It was a sweet show, wasn't it? You had a cat named Simba? My daughter had a cat named Simba. Alrighty, everybody. Speaking of cats, you see this one here? This loud animal? This is a cat in the basket. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you all on the next one. Thoughts and prayers for Steve Molesky, please, people. Steve's an ace. Get back here, bud. We love you. We'll see you guys on the next one. God bless you.